This is right.
What's this?
The caption is coming up in case you're wondering, Ollie. I can see
What's
it.
this?
I can see the caption.
Great, thank you. I'm just gonna do the roll call. Michael, Mike, Rashid, Ingrid, Laurie,
Here.
Nicole, Deborah,
Here.
Helen,
Here.
Sheila.
You to turn the sound off her computer.
Okay. Yes.
Oh.
You can speak it on.
Cool. Look at that. You two have that. Would you like me to sit with you so you can see everybody?
Is this? not-
That's what we can't
Yeah,
get working.
okay, sure. Why don't I come over that way?
Okay. But you make that bigger. This is Holly Simeone. I'm gonna start the meeting. Meeting's called to order. Tiny bit of housekeeping, and then we're gonna get quickly started with our guest that's here today. Harriet is unable to be here tonight, as well as Frank. So we're gonna be moving past the updates that she would typically be providing. We are gonna remind people as part of the norms to please say your name. Please raise your hand or use the emoji if you'd like to ask a question. The chair will recognize people who have their hand raised. We typically do not use chat because people who are blind cannot access the chat. But Adrian, are you able to monitor if something is in chat? Okay. So welcome everyone to the TAB building. Can we just get one quick update, Sheila, on the amount of the deposit for the
Yes,
month?
yes. Last month, we talked a little bit about finances, and Holly and I talked about it with so much going on this month in today's meeting. We decided we'd do the larger finance budget meeting discussion next month, but I will give you the monthly report. For June, the fines that were collected was $8,540. Interest was earned in the amount of $112, so a total of revenue of $8,652.21. Our current account balance is $266,581. Now, that does include all of the Red Sox game expenses, so that's after deducting all of those expenses.
We can't hear you.
I'm sorry,
We can't hear you. Your volume is low.
start all over again. All right. So revenue for the month was $8,652. Balance as of June 30th is $266,581, and that is after all the expenses of the Red Sox game, which amounted to about $29,000. I printed it off my printer and it's in my printer. But so, and again, we're gonna give a much more broad financial discussion next month, so keep that in mind. But that's where we stand as of now. I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong number for the Red Sox game, $12,900 in total. And that's all included. The expenditures were already deducted when you get to the $266,581.
And that's the event we budgeted 15 or 20. I know we're under budget either way.
Offhand, it was about 18.
18, yeah, okay. I love to be under budget.
We're under budget.
Thank you for that. So we have a budget that we approved for Disability Pride Month. We are sitting here around many of these items that have come in. I'll hold them up a little bit when we have a moment to do that. I would like to put forth a motion that we allocate funding for education in the form of books or enrichment. That we just have a dollar amount set up for the end of this calendar year to use for book purposes, and that the other items that we've acquired, some are in the room, for Art Beat, for the Dragon movie, for the Council on Aging, all of those other items that we have will stay as part of the budget for Disability Pride Month. So I'm making a motion that we
Can I
allocate.
ask a question first? Because
I have a motion, then there's a first, and then there's
I don't
discussion.
understand what you said.
Pardon?
I don't understand what you said. You're making a motion to get money for books that we're gonna use for what?
For any time throughout the year. So some of them may be for Disability Pride, some of them may be through the school department. You know, we're always talking about having books about people with disabilities, either they be enrichment books, they be books that support people, they be great stories. So we would.
I understand, but shouldn't we just do it when we need the books?
I'd like us to have a fund associated for books or education as part of our budget.
What's the purpose of specifying them for books? But then we can't use it for something else if we decide to. So
It is just to allocate a dollar amount and track what we're doing towards education as far as books. And if there are other education items that we would like to put in there, it's another area to track for our money. We have the scholarships in one bucket. I'd like there to be an amount established for books. And then as we do certain events, we would create a budget for those events. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve to allocate $10,000 of our budget, to put it aside and to use it towards the books. And that amount each month would be reflected of the balance by our treasurer as we were to purchase books and how they were used. Do I have a?
I cannot find a thumbs up on my screen, so can I ask a question? without-
I need a first
My turn, yeah,
and then
okay.
discussion.
Um,
Motion, then a first, then discussion. Correct? Okay, I have a first. Or sorry, a second. Discussion. Helen, you had a question.
I just wondered, have all of the scholarships been paid out
For this current year?
for this time?
No.
Oh,
No, well, it's just the time frame when the students now are getting a bill. And
Yeah.
that's what we need from them. So we've only gotten information from about 3 of them, but it isn't enough for us to process them. I don't know where I
Yeah.
should speak to.
Event,
once you get their paperwork, will they be paid right away?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
sure these kids need to
Yes.
get it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. but we're discussing a different motion. If you have any question about my motion that we put aside $10,000 towards books. Did you want to add anything for that piece? Are you okay with that, Helen, or?
Say that again?
For the books, did you want to provide any discussion on this subject?
No, I don't have a question.
Anyone who does have a question?
I don't have a question. I just completely don't understand the idea of putting money aside for books. Just to have them sit around in case we need to use them. So I just don't, I'm not understanding what the point of that is.
It's for budgeting purposes. It's to keep a separate account or a record of what we're using our funds towards purposes of education. We can. That, yeah, if that would, I would be fine with calling it that.
Excuse me.
Yes, Marshid?
I'm also my concern is as good as Michael's concern. We are not for or against the books, but we want to have the genesis. Why books? Why books? And then you as a person that has has brought maybe the motion, I think you would have thrown more light about the books. Are we going to buy books? Are we going to facilitate writers that are writing maybe articles or are going to be authoring books? I don't know.
So it is to purchase books that we will distribute to the residents or through other programs within the city. Some of them will be given out during Art Beat, others at the Torino Dragon movie tomorrow. It's a way to separate how we're using our funds and to track it.
Yes, still when it comes to books, I think we still need to have, I don't know if it's we need to have like maybe books that maybe come up maybe according to a theme, or maybe that we want, or maybe it's like maybe an agenda. Let's say we maybe want to promote maybe human rights. How would we maybe buy books based in the line of human rights? Do we want to have books that are teaching parents of maybe children with special needs, maybe how to enrich their information about that or any other? I think.
Okay,
books are
I
done by-
agree. I agree. We're not choosing books right now. We're
Yeah.
allocating a budget. And the money that we have used from our Disability Pride budget that we allocated has been including books, and that's overtaking our budget. I would like our book budget to be separate. And
Mhm.
as we decide there's an event or there's something going up that we bring to the group to discuss, buying books or how we may add more educational supports from that $10,000, then that's when we will, as a group, decide what are we going to do with additional, how are we going to spend down that money? All I'm asking for is that we have a separate line item for education, and the books that we've purchased so far that we will be using during Disability Pride Month will become part of that budget and separate from the budget for the food, the tablecloths, the giveaways, the art supplies, those items.
Okay.
Say, educational items.
Any other questions before we vote? All those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 All those opposed? One. Anyone else opposed? Any abstain? Okay, it passes. The ayes have it. Thank you. All members minus one were yes. Okay, I'm gonna,
We are two.
pardon?
We are two that said 9.
So you were also not in favor. I apologize. So two no's, 2 opposed, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
9 in favor, 2 opposed.
Yes. Okay, we have a guest here today from the city, Louisa, and you're welcome to. I'm sorry, this is like in a terrible spot. Is that better? We as a group have talked about parks and swings and accessibility. And one of our champions for accessible swings is here tonight, Nicole. And I know there's other families and people that have kids, as well as our members who have a vested interest in accessible play. And I'd like to introduce you and thank you for being here and giving us an update and sharing how we're going to collaborate and how we're going to move forward. Would that be appropriate positioning?
Sure, I just am moving this because I want to see people's faces.
However you would like it to be.
Hi, everyone. I'm Louisa Oliveira, and I am the Director of the Public Space and Urban Forestry Division in the City of Somerville. And that we have 7 employees, 4 landscape architects, including myself, and 2 foresters that are working on trees. So we do parks and we do trees. And thanks for having me today. This is kind of a long time coming. We have talked amongst ourselves of coming to this commission for some time, but we are presently 2 people down, about to hire 1 more, and just really swamped with work. On a personal note, I was for a year and a half a foster mother to a child with an emotional disability. And if you can imagine, there's a lot of things that happen when children come from traumatic places. So I do understand how difficult that is, and also how hard it is to advocate for your children. I get it, especially if any of you has ever had any kind of handlings with the Department of Children and Families. It's, I know how hard that is. So there's a couple things that we wanted to talk about. I know Holly had said that there was, and actually, if it's okay, I'd like to know a little bit more about this commission. This commission is one of the mayor's commissions. Is it a like jurisdictional one?
So we're established by statute.
Okay.
And through that same statute, there's another article that was also accepted by the city of Somerville maybe 3 years ago now. And what that does is it allows us to take the HP fines for blocking I believe it's a ramp and illegally parking in a handicap spot. And those funds go directly to our account. It's a separate account, interest bearing, and the funds are used at the sole discretion of the commission. And it earns interest, and we have a treasurer now. We're legit that treasurer for a couple of months. And our treasurer used to actually be the city's treasurer for many years.
Oh, great.
So we have used those funds for several events. We've taken some of the families that may be here today went with us to Disability Pride Night at the Red Sox, or 98 individuals that came.
Great.
The superintendent of schools has been fabulous with us, pushing out information to families so that they get information about our events, Family Day. And so Disability Pride Month, we have 7 events. This is the kickoff night of it tonight. And so those funds we use for the benefit of people with disabilities. And that can be interpreted in many ways. It could be, by talking about disabilities, we're benefiting all people, even though we're not just disabled people talking. So it's really to educate and uplift. And there are some things we do not do. We don't supplement the city's budget for something, like we wouldn't pay tuition for something, or we wouldn't pay the electric bill. Not that anyone would ever ask us, but just things that are
We
the
might.
city's obligation that we would not do. But the issue with the swings came about because all the advocacy wasn't getting anywhere. Many of us tried for a very long time. And we decided as a body to voted to buy those swings. And as we moved through the process, we continued through that process, and then we're here now.
And if I'm correct, Brian Postlewaite is also on this committee.
Yes, I think he's on vacation.
Yes, he is. So Brian and my team work very collaboratively all the time. In fact, we have weekly meetings where we work on, because he's doing a lot of streetscape and those kind of things, and we're doing parks and trees. We work very closely with the engineering division, as well as with the DPW division, who I understand you also spoke to. So the one thing I want to tell you is we're the right department to get this done. But there's also a couple of other things. And by this, I mean the swings. There's really 2 things I want to talk about if we have the time. One is the swings and the other is the ADA law. We are 100% on board with adding more swings to the parks. And I know you would like that done yesterday, but we also there's a couple things that we need to do. One, all of our playgrounds, especially the newer ones, have what's called playground safety inspection. And we can't just go buy a swing without looking at various other things, like what the fall zones are, which kind of swing it is, if the swing is safe, if the swings hardware connects to what's there. So that's one thing I'd like you to understand. It's not that people don't want to do it. You know, when DPW said, oh, we're gonna buy these swings, we were like, wait, we have to make sure that it doesn't then negate our safety inspection and create liability issues, but we also have to make sure that the right swing is being hung on the right hardware, because that would be the worst thing if anyone were to fall. When we started talking about this in my team, we also thought like, well, where should we put the swings? And it makes sense that we would put a swing, at least one swing in every ward. But it also begged the question of, if there's a person with a child with a disability, can we know that and place it in their neighborhood park? In other words, we need to think as a group of the most equitable way to do it, and also if there's a need, right? So we could randomly pick a playground in each ward, but I think if we're going to have one in each ward and there's someone with a child that could use it in their neighborhood park, it makes sense that we would do that. So unfortunately, there is a bit of a process, but I would like to start that process with you. I don't know, and you all need to fill me in on the history of this, but I know you have some funds and then you went through the purchasing process.
We met with DPW, and we talked about starting with Nicole, why we needed a swing and what that swing looked like. And, you know, when my daughter used these swings when she was little, 20 years ago, it was a standard swing. It's a Gen swing. They are in several of our parks now. They're not in every park. And what they are is they replace for an infant up to, I think it's 150 pounds of child. And what we had discussed was where there is an existing bucket baby swing. If there are two, we would take one out and swap it for a Gen swing. We wouldn't touch the older types of swings or any other swings. We were not looking to put swings where swings didn't exist, because that needs footings, that needs design. This is literally hang one up, take one down and hang the new one up. The weights are all the same. The product that is used now and the vendor is who we were connected with. We got quotes. We had a list of each of the schoolyards. We had a list of every park in the city that we were provided with, and an inventory of where all of the swings were. I physically went to many of these locations to look at the ones that had swings. And the goal was to go from left to right, one swing in any park that had two baby swings, swap one out, hang it up. It didn't need, if it was safe for the baby swing, it was the exact same setup for this swing.
So that's the part that I don't know of, and that's the part that we need to be sure of and that we need to study, because the city takes on this liability. So we would like to work with you to figure out what is the model, what is the hardware, does it negate our CPSI certification, all of those things. It sounds
hope
like you have.
Doesn't, because they're already used.
There's already many.
They're already.
Well, the ones that are there were designed to be there, so they would not. They were inspected and put there. In other words, when we design a park, the newer parks that have the handicap accessible swings are part of the CPSI process. They are inspected as such. So while it seems like a very simple switch, what we are saying is, can we please work together to make sure that we know that it is safe and that it is equitable? And can we come up with a system to figure out how we will distribute these?
Our solution was, again, to only replace one baby swing, but to put it in every park that had two baby swings, who would hang one
Okay,
accessible swing.
and so,
And the swings that, was it, where was, there's a different style of a swing. It's sort of a blue
Gen
part.
had, but it was just replaced with the Gen style. It had the old, I don't remember the vendor name, but the larger, more of a bucket seat.
And it broke.
last day. Yeah, it broke and they replaced it with the Gen Suite, which is the one they hung in the park that we started this with, Marshall Street.
So they're being used.
I'm not disputing either the need for this or the work that you've done at all.
I know you're not.
Yeah.
The part about the inspection, can you talk a little bit about that? And then I see we have a couple of hands raised.
Sure. Whenever we, there's a number of things that we have to do when we design a park. And one of them is the playground inspection. The second one is complying with the ADA law, which is also something that I would like to talk to you about. And there are inspectors that come and inspect the playground, and they give us what's called the CPSI report. And that is something that is used to kind of assure that there is, it's not illegal, it's a best practice, it's an extra step to assure that it is safe. We also sometimes will work with daycare providers. There's another kind of licensing process through the state to make sure that the daycare, where daycare centers are taking their kids are also put into place. This is not something that we do. These are best practices and laws in the case of the
state
daycare.
Does the inspection?
No, it's called a CPSI inspector. And we looked this up the other day. I can't remember right now, just because it's been a long day, what the C stands for. Certified Playground Safety Inspection. That's what it is. So this is the practice that we have in all of our playgrounds. Across the board, we have this CPSI. In newer playgrounds, like you would have found in Argenziano, the swings that were put there to be handicap swings had gone through that process. So we just need to make sure, and I'm not even saying that we need to re-inspect them all. We just need to make sure that the fall zones work and that that these swings work with that hardware.
So these inspectors are certified and they're private vendors, but they're certified in playground safety, is that it?
Correct. That's correct.
When's the last time, as a best practice, how often is the city having our parks inspected?
The CPSI happens when we build a new park. So then when they're installed, we have that certification. After the park is built and people use it, the maintenance falls on DPW. But understandably, DPW does not understand, they don't do the design part of it. So, you know, they're thinking, oh, we're just going to change a piece out. And we're saying, can we do this together so that we get it right?
No, please don't feel you have to defend.
Oh,
that.
no, but I'm
We're
saying
on board
with
that completely.
DPW as well. So they're inspected during design.
And then what happens is they fall into disrepair or something breaks. What triggers a new inspection?
So there aren't new inspections. The maintenance of the playgrounds is on DPW. And they often will, you know, they respond to 311s or to something wrong with it.
So then when they're replaced, they don't get inspected again.
Yeah, they do not have another CPSI inspection, but I don't know that they replace the swings necessarily as much as they replace a piece. It depends on what is wrong with them.
Yeah, in this case, it was the entire swing, and it was a different swing.
Yeah, so at that school, the
We don't know
blue,
if it-
the blue version of the swing, that's more of a bucket.
Yep.
Broke, and the red, it's called the red one, the red gen swing, that's the swing that accommodates smaller children and taller, longer children with head support is what was put in there.
And it's probably perfectly fine. And also, if it is a better swing, we need to know that because we don't know that. So that is the second. Oh, I think there's questions.
How many hands do we have? Okay, I saw Nicole. Oh, okay, Laurie, you have the floor.
Thank you. I'm so happy that we're thinking about accessible swings. I have two questions. One is, I think I hear 4 different criteria for where the swings are going, aside from safety and inspection. And here's what I heard. So someone please correct me. Where there are 2 baby swings, we'll take one out and put in a disabled
An
sensitive
accessible swing.
accessible swing. Where there's 1 baby swing, we'll put in an accessible swing. Where there's a disabled child, we'll put in an accessible swing. In each district, we'll put in an accessible swing. So that's my first question. Is this either or both or what?
That,
And my second question, and the question is where
If you
this,
wouldn't mind, could we answer the first one first?
sure,
Thank you.
yeah, so I'm a little bit asking you guys for that criteria. So what I'm saying is the rationale that there should be at least one accessible swing in every ward makes complete sense. And that's what I thought you were buying swings to make sure that there was. And it also makes sense to me that if there's two baby swings and we can replace one, that makes sense.
In a perfect world, the swing that we have is the right safety. It fits in the lock, all that can be verified and it is suitable and it's a swap out quick.
Yep.
That was how we envisioned this. And the idea of not removing both baby swings, so leaving an option, but having an accessible swing in every park across the city, which would include all the wards. And that can certainly be a discussion as to which one goes first and which one is the easiest. But
Got it.
that was what we were looking for was equity. We wanted wherever someone lives to have one. And you shouldn't have to, I mean, the idea of asking for a swing because it's your neighborhood didn't work for this resident. And we got involved and DPW actually within days was able to put one there for her. But the idea that, excuse me, that we would create them across and then as in parallel, I'm always parallel, fix where we need to fix, but always add an accessible piece of play in the new parks that we're opening up. And that's a separate discussion.
Yes,
That's
that's part two.
did we both answer your
Can I just
question,
add a
Laura?
little bit? I mean, the goal is, and not only goal, it's requirement that there be an accessible play structures in every playground we have. We understand that's not gonna happen overnight. And that's why we set up buying so many swings, trying to get into places that probably be easiest, but not, you know, what I mean, it's not, it don't be as need construction or changing the structure. But to do that first and then move on and figure out how we get one in every playground.
So if I'm understanding, the priority is to start off, to get one in each ward.
One in each park that had a baby swing, but absolutely getting them in all the wards, so.
And how many parks had two baby swings? And then the other question is, if there's an existing baby swing, is the idea that we would remove the baby swing because the accessible swing works for a baby as well?
Yes,
Okay,
actually looks better because it has head support, head to toe. I have a list here from the parks that goes through it, you know, there at Dilboy, there was one accessible swing, awesome. At Kennedy, for example, there are two babies, four big kid swings, two little kid swings. So there would be one there. Albion has one, Kennedy has one. 4 swings too. So this is the full inventory. And I
Great.
think the piece of story I didn't also explain as myself and Ingrid went and met with superintendent of schools to ask them how we could help add to their accessibility in their schoolyards. And they were so kind and welcoming and thankful and asked us to work with them on other projects as well as swapping out the swings. And I won't forget Chad Mazza when he said, you know, if there are 3 swings, make sure the accessible one's in the middle. So that the kids on each side, the child in the middle has friends on both sides. They're not right. And like, that really is a big message to me of not, you know, this child now is in the center and has access to friends. And that's really what it's about. I mean, you know what that's about. And the city wants to do that. That's, it's just, it wasn't happening. And we want to see it happen. And so they were all ready to have us put swings there too.
sure. So, but getting back to the question of criteria, what I heard was each ward or each park that has 2 baby swings. And we also wanted to make sure that there's parks in each ward, because we don't want one ward to not
Absolutely.
have.
Like I said, left to right, all the.
And then the criteria of making sure that it meets all the safety requirements.
Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't know that we can do them all in one fell swoop. Do you know how many there were? Is that how many that then you were trying
We
to?
we can do this logistic part
okay.
afterwards, because I
Yep.
wanted, there was a lot of back and forth and a lot of not clear information
Mhm.
and desire to collaborate. And I'm glad that this is what we're doing. And so, this project's already been voted on, approved, each meeting, and in between there are updates given to the members. So that piece doesn't have to be collaborated on in our meeting. We definitely should
Yes.
answer other questions and,
I don't know who was next. I don't know.
I think.
No,
we-
I had a second
Oh,
question.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you for being patient.
Sure. Okay, and okay, and my second question was, I'm wondering, is it legal to say we are gonna put a swing here because there is one child, that particular child, we're putting the swing in? I want to know if that's legal.
Well, I'll take that, if that's okay. Our approach isn't one child. Our approach is where we can put them. And there's a room, there should be a swing. It's not as necessarily associated with a particular child.
Oh,
But I-
okay, so that was on the criteria list, so I'll
Well,
cross that
so,
off.
so hold on, what I mean by that is if we know that there is, like in the case of Nicole, where there's a child that lives nearby. And we
Yes.
could do that park first, that we would consider it, not that we would say, oh, if you don't have a kid that needs it, we won't put it in. But prioritizing where we know that there is someone,
Thank you for stating the obvious. For saying that.
Yeah.
Because you would not want someone to think that that was what you implied.
yeah, no, I mean that if we're gonna place 10 of them and we know that 3 of them, there are people that's their neighborhood park and they need that, then we would do that one first is logical. Not that we wouldn't do the others.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you call me, Holly? My phone broke up there for a minute.
You have the floor, my dear.
Oh, okay. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to apologize. I have a fussy baby and I have a very loud and sassy 3-year-old.
4-year-old.
First, did I say 3-year-old? Oh, shoot. Here I am. My 4-year-old. Thanks, Holly, for calling me out. Yeah, no. Yeah, first, let me just say that I'm really happy that we're having this discussion. I think it's well overdue. I think I should probably just start, and thank you, Louisa, for first kind of filling us in on your background with what's going on in your family. And also, kind of the gaps or the steps that we're going to have to take for this. So the visibility into that is helpful. But I think the best way for me to speak here is just, as a parent, right? I have had many discussions with people, as you know, in the city about this. But I think I'm not, again, as a parent, I'm not a fan of just simply putting one in each ward, right? That's problematic for a family like ours because we don't just go to one playground. I mean, the other night we went for dinner. We took Carly with us and decided to go to a playground that did not have an accessible swing. And so so anyway, when we're out and about in the city, and we decide to just pop into a park, it's nice to have an accessible feature there. So for us and our neighborhood playground, just to give you an example, so the Marshall Street playground, the one aside from the rubber surfacing, which is obviously great for her walker, the only thing she can really access is the ordering counter underneath the play structure. And so if we just simply put one in each ward, I think we're really missing the mark.
Can I clarify?
Yeah.
I don't think any of us means to only have one in each ward, but to make sure that as we're going through the system with this list and lists that we have, that we're not missing any wards.
You know, when we first started with the list and how many we were gonna purchase, the idea was to spread them, eventually to get them everywhere, but to spread them across the city so that there was some access in every area of the city. The easiest way to split that up is by ward. So we just felt the first 7 should be split that way, and then we'd get the next group of 7. And with the goal, our goal is to get them in every park, but it will take some time.
But
Yeah,
you referred to the swings is the first piece, but there needs to be more. Am I paraphrasing correctly?
sorry, can you say that one more time, Holly? It was breaking up for a
So
second there.
the swings are the first step towards equity, and there needs to be more than just a swing.
Yeah, I think there was kind of a dire need for us to have anything accessible. Certainly in our neighborhood park. But this seemed like a great first step, right? To just kind of start with the swing, right? Like if we have one thing that we can do at the park, there's kind of a reason to go for us. So yeah, sorry, I was just jotting down some notes as you were talking here, and I just want to make sure that I'm hitting them all. You know, I think, you know, I've heard these comments about kind of if there's a need, and I think, you know, I'm just going to be frank here. It's frustrating to, and I'm not, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Louisa, but I just think in general, I've heard, you know, is there a need for an accessible playground, or is there a need for these accessible swings? And I think even if we just look at our schools, right? We have an autism program at Winter Hill. We've got one at the Kennedy. I mean, 20% of the population at Kennedy has a disability. So I think the need is certainly there. I think you know, we just have to do better, you know. But I'm just making sure I'm hitting all my points here. You know, with that said, I guess, Louisa, you know, I'm not gonna lie, it was amazing to have DPW just kind of step in and I'm sorry if I'm butchering this, Holly, but you were on the call with me. From my understanding, they were mostly concerned with having like an accessible, like flooring, like rubber surfacing, or an accessible path to get to the swing. But Louisa, can you like, I mean, is there a lot more to it? Because I'm just curious, like if we can expedite this process, right? Because like it's a little, it's overwhelming to think that we could be at this, you know, how long we could be at this for.
I'm gonna interject for a second, and I'm
Sure.
gonna give you back the floor. Having this conversation is the collaboration of understanding what each of us needs and how we're gonna get that to work together and for hanging accessible swings. I would call it like first phase, right? And then I would say that the larger projects of more inclusive play, as we're adding additional features to other swings, or as we're building new parks, how can the commission help with those items, or help with those designs of things, or give input? And then I think that as far as how long and the behind the scenes of what will this take, I don't want to put you or anyone on the spot for that piece. And I want to make sure that what we get here today is input that from all sides on what would be the best solutions, not more of the process, Nicole, only because I will give the whole 2 hours of this meeting, except for the last 15 minutes, because we have to talk about Disability Pride Month, to this discussion, and as long as our guest is available for that time. But I promise that, you know, I will be on top of it, and I know that we have allies who will be on top of that with us.
So I would say, Nicole, if you can just hold that thought, I want to answer any other questions that are specific to the swings. And then if there are if your question, for example, Michael, is it bigger than this, then I'd like to give my spiel first and then we can have a conversation.
No, I don't know if it's bigger than this, so if,
Are there comments in the?
sorry, I'm very nervous. If you, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. No. I don't know. I just, it feels to me that the conversation might be a little off of where we're going, because what I hear you saying, and I forgot your name, I'm sorry. It's, what is
Louisa.
your name?
Louisa.
What I heard you saying was, this is great. We want to do this. There's just a way we have to get it done. We have to make sure that it fits onto what we already have. So that's on us now, since we made this is my opinion, that we made the declaration that we're going to get swings, at least one into every ward, that we have to buy swings that fit into what you are telling us we need to buy swings for, that they need to fit onto that thing, because we're not going to go out and get all new footings. So I'm not sure. I just feel we're off the conversation a little bit, and if we aren't, then go for it. But I think you're saying to us, let's work together, let's figure this out, and there we go. I'm not sure what the conversation is.
So I'm not saying that that's on you, go figure it out. I'm saying that's on
No,
us.
I'm sorry. No, I want to. No, but it's on both of us, though. I think that's the point. It's not that it's on us or that it's on you.
Right.
It's that you're saying, let's work as a team.
Yes.
Let's be a
Yes.
team. Let's be a group. Let's work together. We all want this to get done. Let's do it.
Yeah. And then my bigger spiel is this one. When we are designing a park.
I didn't know, I know we had a few other hands up. I didn't know if you wanted to
Oh,
finish answering
I'm sorry.
questions
Did you guys
about.
have,
No,
did you have a? swing?
my question was on the process.
Okay.
I took my cue from you.
Okay.
there.
Thank you. Please.
So when we design a park, you know that there are a number of community meetings and the people who can come out, and maybe they don't have a fussy baby and a 4-year-old and they can come out. So like the public meetings that we have are public, but they are not always equitable. There's a million reasons why people don't feel comfortable coming to a public meeting and pounding their hand on the table and saying they want this or that. And we do have public meetings. We hire a landscape architect. In order to become a landscape architect, you have to be very familiar with the American with Disabilities Act. As you all, I'm guessing, know, the American with Disabilities Act, for the most part, handles grades and getting in a wheelchair to sometimes nothing. And so when we finish a park, we are meticulous about making sure that those regulations are met. We go out, we have the slopes measured, we record those to make sure that this is an accessible park. And when I say accessible, I mean the legal ADA definition. In conversations with some of your members, I hear very much that what is legally ADA and what is truly accessible, inclusive, have a very large gap. Shake your head if you agree with me. So what I would like to do is, we're down 2 staff people, but I'm hiring one person in a couple of weeks. And I would like to have a project where we can meet with you guys and understand what this middle space is. Because that allows us to, when we hire a landscape architect, say, I know you're meeting the ADA, but we'd also like to do these things. I don't know if your commission has like working committees or how it works, but I think there's an opportunity here for us. And I will say that I can't tell you that everything is always possible. Our parks are very small and it's often hard to meet the requirements. There's a lot of physical things that go into it. But we want to try our best to understand, okay, it's great that all your grades meet ADA, but then there's nothing for my child to play on. Or if I'm in a wheelchair, you just built a community garden that's supposed to be for people with all different abilities. But in fact, this is too small. It meets ADA, but it's not going to work for a mid-sized or a larger wheelchair, which is something we learned from Harriet. So I think there's a real opportunity here for us to work together on understanding, yes, the parks are ADA, and also I will say they are ADA on opening day, and then a tree root grows and maybe they're not, like there's an obstacle. They're ADA because there's always one pathway that is. But a lot of times, you know, something may heave or there's an issue and then it's no longer in compliance. So I'm saying we really do. I'm not even gonna tell you we try our best. It's illegal for us not to. So all of our parks, when they're open, they meet the ADA law. I also understand the ADA law is completely a minimum that doesn't really meet a lot of needs that people with lived experience can help us figure out what those are. And that's what I'm saying. Like the swings thing is pretty easy for us to figure out. But I think there's an opportunity here for us to really look at these parks and say, what can we truly do differently? Again, the landscape architects are doing this because they are required to by law, but landscape architects also want to be more inclusive. That we also do have a project to make the Kennedy School into a universal playground. And we will do that. We are so underwater because we're down 2 people that we just can't get anything, or it's not that we can't get anything done. We just have too much to do. But I would like to figure out, you guys tell us how we can better understand this gap between what the law says, which was written a long time ago and has a very, very poor understanding of what the needs are and what those needs are and how we can try to get closer to here in our park design.
Can I just see, I know, Mike, your hand is up. If there are any, I know we have a lot of people, residents. Oh,
Oh,
Helen.
I'm sorry.
Understanding you have limited staff and you're all very busy. But my question is there any kind of a plan for when these things will happen? Can you say that by the end of the summer, you will have a swing?
I can say that by the end of the summer, we'll know which parks will get a swing. And
Not knowing which will get them, will they be installed?
I have, that's not all on me. So I have to then, we have to go through purchasing and we have to go through DPW.
I have to read it from here because I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I thought purchasing had already been done.
no, because
I thought they
It
had
was
before.
attempted and it was rejected.
and that's
For
because,
still unknown reasons.
well, there's.
I actually would like to clarify why it was rejected, because it was made clear to both of you why it was rejected. It was rejected because
1 second, because there's an echo. Is the mic on your?
my mic,
I think it's us.
Yeah. so it was can I-
1 second. I want to make sure what you're saying gets heard.
okay.
Go ahead.
It was rejected by procurement because any purchase over $10,000 needs a contract, and there was not a contract.
That's right. And then we resubmitted one that was under the dollar amount with the provision that we were gonna work on the project before we bought new one. And that one was stopped.
That one was stopped because it doesn't look good, because there was already a paper trail that you attempted something over $10,000. So procurement's not going to put that through with the same vendor.
Let's not go there. We go another time. That doesn't even make sense. We met all the requirements to purchase those swings. And it just got stalled, but that's a whole. nother-
Yeah,
Maybe you can help us.
Well, the purchasing stuff is incredibly frustrating, and we have to we swim in the same pond too. It's really frustrating. We can work these things out, and we'll be much quicker working through us because we do this all the time. Does that help, Helen?
Not really. I just feel like there were too many unanswered questions. You know, the point of this having swings is for children to run when the weather is good. So my feeling would be, do what you can, get at least some of them installed before the summer is over. Kids aren't gonna be playing on them in November.
You know, we can try something proactive, you know, make 2 lanes, right? The 2 swim lanes. If in fact these are the right swings, which I'm not gonna bet my life on it, but I'd give it an 80% they're probably the right ones. I can find out who does have a contract with them or how we can get pricing for them. And have that at hand. So that piece is done. And then it becomes the time of making sure that all of the safety and validation is there, that this is the right unit. And if it turns out it's not the right unit, then we find a different unit. But that piece, I think, can be worked at.
So I don't mean this disrespectfully, but you can't be the person determining if they're safe because the liability is
No,
on the city.
and I'm not.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is let's figure this out. Let's determine whether or not there's that model is safe. And then let's buy them and ask DPW to install them. That's kind of the timeline. And I can get someone working on this the last week of July. I can only move as fast as I can move. And there are a lot of processes in the city that because of laws with procurement law, et cetera, et cetera.
Can I be working with that person?
Sure. Yep.
Great.
And then once we start moving on that, again, I'd like to find some way that we can have some meetings where we are kind of studying that gap and trying to come up with some recommendations, then we can share when we're building parks to try to get
Oh, yes.
closer to here.
Yes.
That's like where we can really move the needle.
We would like there to be a park that has a swing that actually holds a wheelchair. You actually roll on it. A lot of footings, a lot of space, a lot of cost, a lot of, but that doesn't mean we can't do it.
No, it
It
doesn't.
just, it has to be a plan that, you know, we draw a line, and we say, hey, we're gonna work towards this. We're gonna figure out where it is and what's involved and how the commission can help possibly buy that physical unit or give advice about that unit, and then have something that an adult or even anyone in a chair, but an adult. I mean, we talk a lot about children who need swings, adults need swings, family members need swings. You know what it's like to be able to be a grandparent or a parent and who uses a wheelchair and be able to get on a pad securely locked in place with that person you love swinging with you. That connection. Those of us who are parents or aunts, uncles, we understand that family, that closeness, and the movement together really means something. There's a lot about a swing to people. But we all recognize that a location and the footings and the work involved in that type of installation is much larger, but we would really like to collaborate on that with the city and see where in the future that could be possible.
Might be something to explore with the Kennedy, since they have a large
Well, so
population of students.
They do, and I think I'm going to say this again because this is actually very exciting and I'm not sure that so the Kennedy School will be a universal playground. The Kennedy School in front, when that playground gets redone and it's next on our list, it's going to be a universal playground.
Okay, and then we're all gonna participate in universal, accessible.
Excuse me,
ADA.
this is Pauline.
So there will
They
be,
make slices of differences for all of us.
of course, there will be a number of public meetings and you all have to show up and
Mhm. We would really like.
we also have to work with the school committee because it is the school.
I have a feeling the school committee is very.
I'm sorry, I meant the school community, the community of the school.
But as the commission of people who were appointed by the mayor to this body, we would really like to be considered part of the process, not just a public person who shows up.
I understand that. And again, we're committing to meeting with you and trying to understand the lived experience stuff. But we also have 81,000 other people. So we kind of have to, in our position, it's really hard to meet everyone's needs. So
Absolutely,
As-
but we would just like, as those anointed, that seems over the top, those
Well, we're charged with, our mission is to.
To
advocate
represent
for
all the people
disabled,
for the
so
city with
Just to have a voice
disabilities.
at the table.
Absolutely,
Because we would
absolutely.
love for you to also be able to put in your recordings and documents that there was consultation with the commission, that we were part
There's-
of that.
There's going to be, especially on this particular playground, again, we have already touched base with the principal and the director of special needs. All this stuff takes an eternity. I know it
Understood.
takes like 3 years from start to finish on a park. That's just the reality of the work that needs to get done, the public processes, the bid for a designer, the bid for a contractor. And I know everybody would like this to be done yesterday when their kid is in school there or when their kid needs it. But the reality is that is how long it takes to build a park. So absolutely, what I am saying to you is there isn't any resistance on our part.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And, one thing that, the words accessible, universal, compliant, ADA, certified, all mean different things, or all have different components to them. But, and you touched on it too, when something is no longer maintained, as soon as it's broken, it's out of compliance. And if that's not the parks piece, whoever that is, needs to be on board with whomever to get those remediated, because there are a lot of those instances in our parks that make them inaccessible, even though they were built compliant. And, I'm just showing some pictures that I've showed the members many times before. But I would say that one of the basic things that we could look to change is the actual gates that we put in our parks are not compliant.
So that we are aware of. In the last open space and recreation plan, before I was the director, I wrote that plan, and there was predates you, Adrian, and frankly, that work wasn't spectacular, but there was a universal design audit of the parks. And some of the things were right on and then others weren't, but one of the big things was the gates. And that you need a gate that you can open with a closed fist. So we have changed our gate specs. And some of the that probably are not working that way are older ones. Because when we know better, we try to do better. But we are aware that is an issue, and we have changed. I think Marshall Street has the one, they flare out now, so you can.
Walter's closed for tomorrow. What's Alfie gonna wear tomorrow?
Does not.
I saw. That's where.
I'm sorry.
That's the park near my house in Carly's Swing Park. I'll double check if it's changed since
Yeah, I'm almost
specified it,
certain
but-
because I worked on that one many years
But like,
ago.
here's an example here of an accessible bench, a park bench. And what it is, sorry. As you can see here, it's a pad of concrete. And it has an overhang that's the right height.
Oh, I'm familiar.
And it has this piece so that a wheelchair can go next to it.
We have a number of those in our parks.
But we haven't always done those.
We haven't, you're right. But if you look at any of the parks that were built in the last 10 years, you're going to have a very different experience than you have in a park that was built 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
And this is also kind of comical, just to give you a little bit of a glimpse of, they changed the tables at Foss Park. Foss is a state-owned park, and they put in the handicapped accessible ones. There's no accessible path to get to them.
Yes, so
Yes, I'm aware.
it's the candy store that's closed.
But one of the city councilors cited that as an example of hostile architecture. And I don't know if you know what hostile architecture is. It's
I have seen.
designed so that unhoused people can't sleep on them. And I went down there and took a look and was like, no, it's not prohibiting someone from sleeping on it. It's allowing a wheelchair to. So yeah, there's a lack of knowledge in this whole arena that I think a collaboration with us will be really helpful.
I see one hand raised from Nicole. Is there anyone else?
Laura
Oh, okay.
and
And
Ingrid.
Ingrid?
Lori, you go first.
Oh, okay. So I just thank you all for letting us join this meeting. And I just want to second everything Nicole said, particularly about feeling daunting, being able to get this done, given all the constraints that you all are
Laura,
facing.
you're muted. Oh, wait,
Oh.
so, sorry, you're not muted. We were.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to quickly second everything Nicole said. And I also wanted to second what Helen said about being able to just define a timeline for this. I think it's super exciting to hear that you're willing to have more conversations with us to hear about our lived experience, but like, let's get the swing part done as we're doing that. And then finally, I just wanted to make a note about universal design and accessibility and the way we approach it, in that I have a son who needs accessible features at playgrounds, and I have a daughter who is a typical child and is a rising third grader. And her favorite parks to go to are the ones that are accessible and have universal design in mind when they're being built. And so I think it benefits everybody in the community to have accessible playgrounds, whether you need accessible features or not. I mean, they're the best playgrounds, and we travel to Charlestown and other places to visit these types of playgrounds. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
Thank you for sharing that and participating tonight. It's always good to share what is working. I feel like if we're going to ask for something to change, we should at least be providing an example of something that we think would be better. And then I always feel the next best thing is to thank someone where there is something that's already is working.
Well, we appreciate that, because all we do is hear complaints, if I'm honest with you. So anytime we're doing something well, please let us know. It's tough. Ingrid.
Nicole, and then,
Oh, Ingrid, I think.
oh, sorry, Ingrid. I don't know why we
Hi,
can't.
Ingrid here. Thank you for coming, Louisa, and talking to us about this. I just think that something that's not to be missed is that these swings are also talismans to the community, and this is Disability Pride Month, and it's really about even just challenging people's perception about who can sit in them and who these people are, and just that there's a need for them, and that's part of our community. So I think that there's more to them than just like, where's the need, and like some sort of, I mean, sometimes it feels like we're leaning into territory where like there should be some sort of registry for people that need them, when the reality is anybody's child could need them a month from now. And I just think it's important to see the big picture of really what those swings represent. And that not anything could happen. Also, as far as like the suggestion box and like the architectural designers and the work that you guys do, and I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, so I feel like I have played the roulette of which parks to go to for a long time. Has anyone ever considered, beyond just, you know, the ADA is not enough? I mean, we follow it because it's our job, but we're also passionate. Has anyone ever wheeled around a wheelchair in that park? Any of you guys ever done it, or had somebody in a wheelchair try to manage those spaces?
Yes.
Or was it more a matter of a measuring tape? I'm just curious.
So,
And I think that would be a good suggestion.
so
In the wheelchair and try it out.
this is what I'm saying to you, which is that we are following something that is not based on lived experience. It's based on a law that was done many years ago. And it's a minimum that we always meet. But what we need from people with lived experience is exactly what you're saying, is to understand, you know, when folks came, and we need to do this before, not at an opening or ribbon cutting, but you know, when there was an actual wheelchair moving around the community garden at 5 Palmer, we were able to see, oh, this is not adequate. So
Was
that's,
that the Glen?
yes, Glen Park.
Yeah, that's why I'm challenging you guys to borrow some wheelchairs from the Council on Aging, or the city has 1 billion of them, and take a wheel around and see how that works. Because I've definitely been places where I borrowed the, you know, what was accorded and what was totally in line and realize almost instantly that whoever had this accessibility idea has no idea how to move, has no idea that it's impossible to move this way. So I would just, you don't have to be handicapped to sit in a wheelchair. I would just challenge you guys to sit in a wheelchair and wheel around. That's all. That's
I
all
mean,
I'm saying.
I think that as we collaborate, that's a great example for, that's a great event, like have people sit in a wheelchair and try to wheel around and see what that feels like. I mean, that's a great,
So I grew up in Winter Hill and Marshall Street as a child, was my park. And when my husband and I got married, we bought a house across the street from where I grew up, and Marshall Street is still our park. And our older daughter used a wheelchair all of her life, and we never could get a swing in Marshall Street or a bench that's accessible or a crosswalk. My daughter died 4 years ago. 3 months.
Can anybody hear me? Can anybody hear me?
yes.
This is Pauline. I have a question. You talk about accessibility for folks in wheelchairs, and I understand that. But what about accessible features for blind people in these parks?
That's a very good point. Thank you, Pauline. Pauline is blind, is Harriet, White King users, and another member of our commission.
Pauline, we are happy to include these features. We just need your all help knowing what the full gamut of inclusivity and accessibility is.
I mean, the only experience I have with a park, or a playground, was the one at Perkins, and they've done a marvelous job by transforming that into an inclusive playground for every disability, because they've had to. But when I was in school, we had regular swings and things like that. And I don't know, I guess it's because I was used to it. There was no problem. But now everything has to be tailored, which I don't really understand. What can you do, for instance, if you're going around a park? The one thing I would suggest would be guide rails, for those of us who are blind to be able to navigate the park.
Guide rails?
Yeah.
Like the walkways? Could you?
You mean like handrails?
Mm,
Handrails?
yeah. Railings that would. So in other words, we wouldn't run into somebody playing ball or something, on a ball field or something like that. I know there are fences, but some places are really wide open, and railings would be helpful to some of us.
Okay, thank you, Pauline. Lauren, you can.
I think Nicole was
Oh,
before me.
okay.
And
Go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, hi, sorry. I know this is a little bit off topic, but Louisa, could you just shed some light on what the timeline is for Kennedy right now, just out of curiosity?
As soon as I
Like,
hire this new person who's starting two weeks from now, I can give a little space to the senior person who will be putting out the RFP for a designer.
Gotcha. Okay, I was just curious. I know we chatted about that at a meeting a few months ago, but was just curious where that was. I was thinking about that the other day. So, all right, perfect. Thank you.
We have about 5 different parks right now in construction, and we also review every single development project in Somerville. So, and then do a bunch of other things. So
For what pieces?
for publicly accessible open space, for green score, there's a lot of stuff in the zoning that they
What
have
about
to do.
assembly, which is my,
Assembly falls under the old zoning, and so there are some private properties that have to give us public space that we review, and then there's the things that have been built already and fell under the old zoning, so we don't have the teeth that we have in the new zoning.
but they're still required to meet the state and federal requirements.
Absolutely.
And we still inspect the work that they,
It depends, if you have to tell me a specific project.
so
'cause I
there's
can-
that, sand pit area and pickleball place, and in front of that is also this like turf with some cool seats and a stage.
So that's
and
private,
there's-
that's a private. Yeah, you have to pay to play pickleball there, that's
But
a
in
private
front
thing.
of it is, but it's public. The public can enter if they pay.
The public can, and yes,
So
but
they're-
we aren't reviewing that because it's like we're
Okay.
reviewing public parks that they have to create.
Right, so I'll
Publicly
table,
owned parks.
well,
Privately owned, publicly accessible.
there's the word. So let me leave that.
One by that area.
That's right, that no one ever uses because they don't realize that it's public. Well, please bring your friends, it's public.
So there is in front of, I'm visual, forgive me. So here's here's the sand, the pickleball, and the coffee area. And then there's that planky kind of walkway. And then there's a little bridge with a massive gap between the two pieces. So that is public, right? That's not the Volo thing.
I don't know, but that's something that we should be able to, it's a gap that someone could get hurt on.
Oh, yeah, your chair will.
Okay. Send me an email, or we can talk to the developer about that.
So
If you have
at-
a photo, even better.
Yeah.
You
so
can always
I
send
think
it 311 too.
We have a few times, not sure if they all land.
So,
but-
what, if
but-
you send it 311 about something like that, you can again, depending on what it is, you should write in the subject line DPW or Public Space and Urban Forestry, PSUF, yeah, PSUF.
Okay. I cut you off, Nicole. Please go ahead. Or was it Laren? I don't remember.
Nicole, are you done?
No, I'm all done. If I could just say, sorry, maybe I'm not really quickly, that I just want to thank Helen for what like you said, Louisa, I'm like looking to get this done yesterday, right? Just because of
Understandably.
our situation. And I think I was just looking to kind of like get like something tangible, right? Like a commitment of some sort of like, and I think Helen was able to do that much better than I was. So thank you, Helen, for that. And yeah, I'm passing off to the next person. Yep.
I think that's me.
That's you.
And thank you for letting me speak. I'm not a commissioner. I'm just a
It's a public meeting.
Yeah, so thank you. So just, I wanted to tag Louisa, what you said earlier about the feedback that you get. It's often criticism and complaints. And I just, as a resident here since 2007, I have seen for my family a transformation in our parks that has been wonderful. So just over the span of time since I've lived here, I've seen tremendous work. Of course, there's always more to do, but just thank you and thanks to your staff. In particular, at the West Somerville Neighborhood School, our schoolyard that I advocated for with a lot of fellow parents and community members, we are, I think, really grateful for the transformation we've seen there. And I see kids on the schoolyard on the weekend now, which is something that we never saw before. My question is, and I guess my request is, when you are working with the commission on identifying which playgrounds to target, which swings to prioritize, that you look not only at where children, but also where they go to school. And so, our schoolyards get a lot of play during the school day. Every kid has an opportunity to go out to the playground. So that means every kid who's eligible to go to public school here in Somerville plays on our playgrounds. So just to not lose sight of that is a big piece of the equity pie.
Yeah, and we, in the last 10 years or so, have redone every single playground, minus the Kennedy front yard, which is next, but the Kennedy backyard has been done. And it was always the intent that when it's not school time, they are public parks, because we have so little open space in Somerville. We have the least amount of open space in the region. Also, we spend more money than other people on our open space, on our parks. So that's always kind of been, at the foreground. When we have these public meetings and the school community rather, and the members of the public are coming, we need to have this work that we're going to do in the back of our mind, in the fore of our mind, and explain it to other people as well. Because in general, not to say anything about parents, but I'm about to. Parents want what they want for their kid at that moment. So I can't tell you how many times I'll go to a park meeting and they're like, we just don't want teenagers around here. And they're with like their 3-year-old. And I'm like, guess what's going to happen in 10 years? So we really try to think of everyone and try to make parks that are multi-use, because we don't have a lot of space, that can be used by people at school, not at school. But to the point of your commission, they need to be multi-use in terms of abilities as well. And they need to be.
And they don't have to look any different. The best solution is no one realizes it's accessible. They just play.
Yeah, yes, and no. Yes, in that, again, like we can say all the slopes are ADA, but then to the point that.
Not a slope. Think about, like, when I say that, I envision those raised platforms where, they have like a plank and you're like going up a path, and then you get to a top and you can look out at something, or you can hit a bell, like those big wooden structures, right?
But one example that I'm trying to explain, the thing that I'm trying to explain is, as Pauline just mentioned, she was like, we need a railing so that people that are visually impaired can walk up. When you put a railing near a playground, you now need a 6-foot fall zone from that.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that it seems like it's not as easy as it seems.
No.
That could be a soft barrier. Maybe there is a different solution that meets what she's saying, something to locate with her cane, but is safe for, head injuries are huge.
Right. I'm saying it's not as simple as it seems, and we want to work together with you to do the best that we can. And yes, schoolyards are part of that equation. And I don't think anybody on the school committee or the superintendent or anyone else would be against that. Yeah. No one's actually against any of this. We just need to get it done.
Well said. That pretty much should have been what the agenda is. No one is against this. We all just need to get it done. Right there. Thank you.
And you
So-
know what, I'm on a daily basis with it, and they have the accessible swing. Every kid uses that swing.
The one that goes around.
No, the actual swing, the one that
Yep.
broke was the big blue style, and now they have the other one, but every kid they didn't see a difference.
There's also a wheelchair roundabout.
Yes. That
Roll on
roundabout,
and locking it.
yes.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, so
Yes.
what the kids do is pick that lift up and stand on it.
Well,
Spin around.
I mean, that's the
I
other,
can't manage that
that's
part of
the
it.
other part
But it's
is
nice
we
to
make
make
parks
right.
and then people do a lot of things to them that they shouldn't do.
Exactly.
We have secret t-shirts that say we can't have nice things that we
Yes.
wear, but yeah,
But it was nice, it's nice to see that they don't differentiate, this is swing everybody can use.
yes.
And the more we have of those, the less difference it is for disabled kids to use.
Just to clarify, when you say the front part, and you mean it's now basketball court? Is that what it labeled?
That would be a universal playground.
And then taking the courts out,
Well, so that,
Public input, we'll probably see where that lands.
well, I mean, there's also a legitimate thing about basketball courts, right? Everybody wants a pickleball court and people want to play it's usually young people that are playing basketball. It's a thing. There's always a fight about it, but because Kennedy has such a large percentage of special needs kids there, it makes sense to try. And that playground is not very, very big, but what we hope to do is, and you will be shocked sometimes at how much the teachers are not in favor of this, is to try to see if we can make more efficient parking. And so, yes, it's the area of the basketball court.
Yeah, the parking. And I'm a basketball guy, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to get rid of it.
Right. I mean, ideally, we could have something that works for both, right?
Yeah.
You can have a basketball court and you can have a, yes, yep. And then we'll be done with all the schoolyards. All of the Somerville schoolyards will have a new, have be new. We're gonna start, it'll be done in 3 years. Yeah, often it's happened often that parents are advocating for a schoolyard and then their kid is in high school by it. But we have a new high school too, so.
Any other questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
This
you
is,
for-
it's my pleasure. I would like you guys to think on how you want to start this project, how we can,
You and I will work together.
and I think, you know, it would be great to form some kind of subcommittee that can be working with, one of my staff on this and have,
Yep.
you know, a product out of it of like, this is how we can do better.
There are several of us, we can't have a quorum, so we have a number that we
gotcha.
can't have together. We would not form an official subcommittee in the sense, because that subcommittee would have to have public meetings.
Yeah, so
but
this is-
we are, within our rights to meet and discuss and
That's
work
right.
directly and report back, and that's really what we've been doing the whole time with this project.
Yeah, and other committees do form subcommittees. So I think there is some question on that, but at the very least, we can, you know, if we are creating a report and we have drafts, we can email everybody. I think there's some way to do it that doesn't break any of the,
As long as you
rules.
communicate through the chair.
Yep.
Then I can push those things out, but the coming to the meeting was great because everyone needs to hear that. But the project, as far as, you know, what we do next, I have people to pull in with different strengths and interests and times to work on those things.
perfect. Can you send, I know did you send all of this to Allison? The model, the park?
I think we need to have a little phone call or a
Okay.
little check-in.
Well,
And those
my
are the
new
types of
person starts
things.
on July 22nd. I will not be here, but the week after I'll be back from vacation and then we can start.
Thank you, really do appreciate it. And
Sure.
thank you for talking with us ahead of time.
No problem.
That makes sense. It was good for everyone. Thank you. Okay. Disability Pride Month. I'm gonna, again, bounce all over the place. You know, I don't know how long it's gonna take us, but I feel very confident that we have an alliance and we're gonna, behind the scenes, be moving the paper back and forth. And we'll be communicating and updating with the committee. So I don't want to say it's gonna be 1 month, 2 months, 12 months. I don't want to give it a number because I have no way to measure that, but I will make sure that we communicate that out to our members and to those people who would like information from us. But maybe we're gonna have August at some point be the Disability Pride Celebration 2, because we'll have swings. You know, that was really one of the first things, or maybe it's September. I don't know. I shouldn't even say that, but maybe there's a V2 of swing celebration.
We can definitely have a
in
celebration about
memory of
swing.
Disability
Yes.
Pride. So, you know, we're not going to get them in July, but we are going to get them in before the snow, I hope.
I hope so too.
Okay. So to that end, our flag raising has no flag. So we were asked about changing the date, and I wanted to discuss that with the commission because we I don't know why we hearing that go.
Oh, I think it's just,
Because I did have one thought. I have a few concerns. If we wait till the 25th of the month, it's gonna have the impression that the city doesn't value disability pride. If we say there's been a human error and there isn't a flag, again, it's not gonna look well, and that's not a fair thing to be thought about. But I think if we were to keep the date as is and rebrand it, we don't have to raise a flag. We can still talk about it being and celebrating Disability Pride and have the speakers that we had planned come and talk just as they had. And that was what I wanted to bring to the group when I was told about this. And I'm wondering, Adrian, if we can still have that conversation, because this is a collaboration with the mayor and the commission. And you did say that the mayor was still available this Thursday.
So I don't know. This echo, so you need to mute your, yep. So I will check tomorrow, but everything has, so it's not the 25th, it's the 24th, which is a Wednesday. So everything, including her calendar, has been switched to the 24th.
But that's why I asked that we wait to do something like that so we could discuss it.
So there are many moving pieces. I can certainly check tomorrow, but there's no guarantee that she will be available on the 11th.
Does anyone else have any feedback or suggestions? We want to make sure that, you know, we are cohesive, we are working with the city, that we are pulling this together.
May I just say, and then you can discuss that everything that was in place for the 11th has now been put in place for the 24th with a flag that will be guaranteed to be here.
Correct, but I don't know if I can be here on that date. I don't know if any of the speakers that were going to be there will be able to. And really the issue is how it looks that we're not really supporting, you know, you don't celebrate the month of July on the 24th on purpose. And we don't want that to be the impression of our residents or how it would appear to someone. And not having the flag to raise is the issue, but we still have everything else in place. City Council put through a proclamation, a resolution. Maybe the mayor would like to call this a proclamation, resolution, whatever the opposite term would be to recognize it. Mike, you had your arm up.
Yeah, does it have to be a specific time? I know it has to be a disability flag, but does it, what's the size? I have one. I
You
don't know if
need to
it-
turn your volume back on.
Me? Can you hear me? No, can you hear me or not? Nope, I don't know if you can. Ingrid can hear me. Can you hear me, Adrian? Okay, so they can't hear me in the office. We can't hear you, Adrian.
Yes, no.
I can hear you as well.
Thank you, Nicole. I guess we're just waiting. So how's everyone doing today? Ingrid's there with her big smile and her cute son, who's got this greatest smile I've ever seen on a
Say
kid.
hi.
Oh, you.
Ingrid.
He does. Okay,
Yeah.
you can
Ingrid.
hear me now?
Ingrid, are you an Argenziano mom?
Yes.
Yeah, I know you. We met at Argenziano at the Lincoln Park for one of your kids' birthdays.
Oh, awesome. Hi.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was
So,
fun.
that. Holly, you can hear me now? Okay, does the flag have to be a specific size? I have one that's 3 feet by 5 feet. If we can use that, then we have a flag to raise. I have it hanging outside my house right now for anyone to drive by.
I will.
I don't
I
know
will.
if it has. Can't hear anybody. We can see your big smiles, but we can't hear you.
I will check. My biggest concern is getting the mayor back on schedule. I'm not worried about Councilor Irwin Campen. I'm not worried about anybody else. I'm not worried about the food.
Oh, so oh, I'm sorry, Adrian. What are you saying?
I have to get the mayor back on schedule because she's now on the 24th. That's my only
So it-
concern. And there
it
is
may
a
not
flag
have-
coming eventually.
It may not have to do with, it may have to do with the mayor's schedule. Okay.
The person who was
Doesn't
supposed to
matter.
order it said they did, DPW said they didn't get it, and that person's on maternity leave, so it's not like we could
Okay,
check.
it's
with
all
them.
good. I have a flag, 3 feet by 5 feet. If you need it, we got one.
Okay,
I'll leave it at that.
I will call Mike tomorrow.
I don't know.
That's what happens.
Thank you.
Adrian, you heard me, right?
If we have a flag, we don't have a flag, the issue really is if the mayor is still available.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay. Does anyone have any other feedback or suggestions about my rebranding or moving forward or?
Is there, like a ceremony for that line, or?
The ceremony is the discussions that happen during the fundraiser. And then they actually, you raise the flag.
Have you read this book before?
A crowd of people supposedly that will show up.
It's a pride method.
No, no.
It's number 2.
I don't know if like, if they're having a flag ceremony and there's no one, you know, it's Tuesday at 10 AM or whatever.
It's at 5, Thursday at 5.
Then
Flag, we can,
Ingrid, you're not on mute.
Well, could we just put the flag up and then have a ceremony? So the flag up, but then we still have like, hey, it's been Pride Month.
so
If the mayor needs to do the 24th, can we just get a flag? Up?
meaning. So here's what I'm hearing, please correct me. So you mean just put a flag up, like we'll put Mike's flag up.
Yeah.
Since it's July and we're 9 days in,
Yeah.
so we'll just have somebody from DPW put the flag up, and that's easy. And then we have the ceremony on the 24th.
But don't call it a flag raising.
But
This
we don't
flag
want-
has been here for weeks in celebration of.
Remember, it's already out there. It's been made public, it's been sent to people, it's on the website. Canceling is gone.
It's not canceling, it's changing the date.
Oh, well, changing the date is canceling the
It's 2
11th.
days away.
I understand, so it hinges on if the mayor is still available on the 11th.
And
That
it
is-
was earlier today, correct?
She's always been available on the 11th because we held that day. But I have to get, and 311 and DPW is easy.
I guess my larger point was, one is to flag up and then do the ceremony whenever.
Well, the point is to recognize at the beginning of the month.
Oh, but that's just the sale.
No, we can do it on the 11th
Well,
without a flag.
flag.
We can still have a celebration and recognition in the same speeches and look. The first week of July, vacations, right? The second week, that would be very reasonable for us as a community to bring everyone together. We move it from the 11th to the 24th. It gives the appearance that we didn't didn't make the time to recognize it in the beginning of the month. We don't want that perception to be out there, because that's not what the situation is. So if we can't get a flag, the flag is on the right size. We talked about flag sizes earlier. If that flag isn't gonna work, we can still pivot from flag raising to pride celebration. We just
But
rebranded.
if the mayor's available on the 11th, then we'll raise Mike's flag and then we can change it out when we get the other flag and give Mike back his flag.
Mike, what's your flag rental? The budget's limited. Okay, great. We'll cross our fingers. So tomorrow, we have, how to raise your dragons. How to train your dragons. We have kids, we don't have books yet, but we do have
We lost you again, if you can hear me. Is everyone having a good time?
Nick, can you unmute? Because we don't have audio from the room, but we do have your video. Holly, you are still muted. Holly, you are still muted.
Okay, we got a bag of stuff. Holly's Vanna Whiting, the bag of stuff that we have. And now she's showing us a bag. We got a nice Disability Pride bag. And we got colored things in a bag. She's showing us how the bag works. The bag works. You could put things in the bag. So the bag is to put things into. And we're reading the Disability Pride. And now she's playing a game with, she's playing that game where you have to figure out what she's saying. Why does she keep showing us the bag? It's a beautiful bag. We love the bag. Okay.
A+ narration, Mike, no notes.
I'm trying my best. And there's some books of stuff. And we got a prize. That's a prize. We can't see what it is. It's a hairdryer. Does anyone know what that is? Do we know why we even have that? Are we giving that away? I don't know what that is. Maybe it's something she won on a game show. I don't know.
Hey, I'm back. Vanna White. Here we go. So, did you sort of get the other things with the books? Okay,
Yes.
so here we go, right? All the way to the top. Anyone know what story this is? A little girl who climbed to the top of the Capitol. Out of her wheelchair along with other adults. How one girl's fight for Americans with disabilities changed everything. It's a great, wonderful, true story. This is what kids who show up for the Dragon movie will be getting. Or if they prefer, and it is in their language, I think it says "You're enough" in Spanish. We had two. We will have this book in English also. Books are still being delivered. We will have books.
The translation of that
and
book is
we'll have bags for
only
slinky.
ask.
And we'll figure out the other stuff and little tiny bubble wands and ring pops. But what we have is a big full tablecloth here. That's not a good view. That will cover a 6-foot table that has our name on it with our logo of the heart. And there will be cups, the magic cups. Mike found these amazing, what do we call them, Mike? We call them mood cups. Yes, they change colors. They have sparkles when you put liquid in them. And we had them branded the same as what it says, Disability Pride on the side. And
Is that the art though?
those are gonna be at Art Beat, and those are also gonna be at the Family Library event. And what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna have, like I said, 2, possibly 3 of those label makers. And people will give us their name and we'll put their name embossed in Braille and slap it on their cup. So they will have their own disco party mood ring, Disability Pride celebration, plastic cup. I don't know if it's dishwasher safe, be careful, with their name in Braille.
question about the books.
Yeah,
Do our libraries have copies of those books and
we are gonna,
you're hooking them up?
see if they would like.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so we used our first direction, which was Amazon for sourcing books. I think I had 350 sorted books in the cart. And then we had to reshift vendors, and some are coming from here and from there. But knowing that we were not going to have anything in our kids' hands tomorrow that show up at the library, I did an Amazon order. And if a child doesn't get a book tomorrow, they will we will get it to them, either drop it off at the library for them to pick up, or we'll find a location that they're comfortable with us delivering their book to them. So they will all get a book. And then at Artbeat, there will also be books. And the other reason I got those books was so that we would have them at flag raising. So we'll see what we have, what we don't have, how many we need. We're going to be flexible. We are people who, our lives have to be flexible, yes. And just going to run through this. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. Okay. So I'm going to be reaching out to people because I need bodies at certain times at certain events, which is basically Artbeat and Family Day at the library. They're both on Saturdays. Many of us raised our hands last month and said, yes, I'd love to read a story. There are 4 spots for the K to 3 age group, and then 2 spots for the 4 to 6 age group. We have the talented Mr. Shaps, who is an author of multiple books, who will be reading one of his books that day. I will be scheduling out with other people which spot they'll be reading at. And we will also be doing our rock art, and we'll be doing our friendship bracelets. We will also have friendship bracelets at our table at Artbeat. We are also going to have face painting of the outline in white, probably, or black, the outline of the heart and the colors of the Disability Pride flag on each kid's face. We are not doing full face, what would you like face painting. We will be happy to put the Disability Pride flag on your cheek. So I have kid-safe crayons and sanitary wipes that we will be using between each person so that everything is clean and lovely, and the packaging if someone wants to. So I might drop a box of those, Mike and Ingrid, in with the ring pops and other things for tomorrow's movie.
Do you know how many people we have signed up for tomorrow?
Yes. Oh,
Ali?
we need to appropriately promote the 7th event of the month, which is not our event, but it is an event that is very important and needs to be heard. It is about employment discrimination. And again, Mike will be reading from one of his books, and Laura Boretsky will be reading from her book. And I hope that all of us will be able to be there physically to support Mike and Laura, and have a way through the city to give it a little bit more press. There's sort of a balance between what is ours and what isn't our event, but we are going to make sure that people are aware of that, and that our members and families and friends who may also be able to go and attend. We are not making bracelets, painting rocks, or giving out books at that event. We are there to support Mike, and that will be when the meeting ends. Okay.
Holly, wait, Holly.
Those who
Holly.
came today got a parting gift. Mike?
Holly, I just want to make sure, everybody keep your eye open on YouTube for the PSAs
No,
that a number of us have
Anyone?
done. I don't know if they can hear me, but this is for everybody else anyway. So the PSAs that we did, I just wanted to put a shout out to keep an eye open. We have 2 of them kind of done, and then we're getting the rest done within the next week, hopefully. So keep your eye out.
I've got to leave. Thank you. Y'all, bye-bye. Good work.
So I'm gonna put forth a motion that we adjourn. May I have a second?
What's the name of the book? Half-ass? No.
Second.
Second.
Yeah. I'm guessing no one's opposed.
Aye.
Have it. We are adjourned. You will be hearing from me. Please read your emails. Please, please.